Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Dee Rosario. I'm chair of the East Bay Regional Park District Board Operations Committee. Today is Thursday, May 21st, and we are meeting via teleconference pursuant to Governor Newsom's executive order number N2920. And I just wanted to remind everyone out there that our district headquarters at Peralta Oaks will not be open to the public and until we meet all the requirements for social distancing to keep our employees safe. For the members of the public that can listen, and you can join us on the Park District's YouTube channel, which can be found at https YouTube. Let's see. Is that correct? youtu.be/4 capital Z EL capital A 7 capital L Y capital O G capital A. And then you can submit public comments in one of two ways: via email to our recording secretary, Denise Valentine, at boardopscommittee@ebparks.org. And the email must contain in the subject line public comments not on the agenda, or public comments / agenda item and the number. You can also call in via voicemail at 510-544-2500. The caller must start the message by stating public comments not on the agenda or public comments with the agenda item number, followed by their name and place of residence, followed by their comments. And comments received during the, am I still on? I touched something.
You are still on.
You're on.
Comments received during the meeting and up until the public comment period on the relevant agenda item is closed will be provided in writing to the Board Operations Committee, included transcribed voicemails. And then all comments received by the close of the public comment period will be available after the meeting as supplemental materials and will become part of the official meeting record. Okay. So we shall begin with our agenda.
Okay. Chair
first,
Rosario, would you like me
yes.
to take roll call?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Chair Dee Rosario.
Here.
AGM O'Connor.
Here.
Director Ann Wieskamp.
Here.
Director Dennis Waspy.
Here.
Excellent. So our first item of business is update on reservations department.
Director Rosario, just a quick introduction and I'll hand it off to Shannon. As you know, it's been a really difficult and challenging time for all of us managing the COVID pandemic. And in reservations group, we've actually been going through a transition where Shannon has been the acting reservation supervisor. And during that time, she's done a great job keeping the helm steady as we've gone through I think it's over $400,000 of refunds. And one of the things I want to point out to all of you is that one thing I think is amazing is that I have not received one complaint from the public in regards to these refunds. And I think that's a great testament to Shannon and her team and the great work they're doing through this difficult time. So I'm really looking forward to Shannon's update, and I hope you do. And with that, I'll hand it over to Shannon.
Great. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
All right, so let's get this PowerPoint here. And sorry about that. Share the screen first. There we go. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shannon Punt, as Jim said, and you can usually find me in the lobby of Peralta Oaks answering the phones along with the other reservation specialists. Currently, though, I have taken on the exciting and challenging role of acting reservations supervisor. Today, my presentation will be an overview of what's been going on in the department over the last couple of months, as well as the last couple of years. We'll look at who we are, our response to COVID-19, as well as a little bit about what we do. And we'll also go over the numbers or more quantitative aspect of what this department does. To begin, the reservations department is made up of these amazing, 8 amazing women, all varying in years of service. The longest being 35 years and the shortest 1, for a total combined 113 years experience. We currently have 5 reservation specialists, 1 reservations coordinator, 1 reservation support tech, and the reservation supervisor. It's important to also note that we now have 2 reservation specialists that speak Spanish fluently. So that's a tremendous asset for the team and for the public. This is truly the most supportive and caring and hardworking group I've ever worked with. Over the last several years, we have faced floods and fires, severe wind events, and now COVID-19. And yet we still manage to provide top-notch customer service and end each day with a smile. What makes us such a great team is that we do share a mission and a purpose. We serve as park ambassadors and facilitate the enjoyment and scheduled usage of the Park District campgrounds, recreation programs, and facilities. We also take great pride in knowing that we're often the first and sometimes only contact that the public has with the Park District. I could go on and on about this amazing group, but let's get down to business. 6 weeks into my acting assignment, March 16th, our world flipped upside down and the shelter in place for COVID-19 was issued. I walked out of Peralta Oaks with everything I thought I would need for the next several weeks. And slide 3 will show us an overview of the staffing response during this time. Given the call center nature of our department, we really were uncertain about how we would continue to do what we do. Initially, I, along with 2 others, were able to continue working full-time from home. 3 other reservation specialists were able to work part-time, and then 2 were not able to work at all. During this time, all communication with the public was done via email, as our phone systems were not set up to work remotely. This ended up being hundreds upon hundreds of emails. About a month into our shelter in place, the 3 part-time staff did receive equipment so they could shift to a full-time schedule again. And that at this time, also our IS department was working on finding a way to get our call center to work remotely. Fast forward to May 4th, and I'm really proud to say that our reservation phones are open again. The public can reach us 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. We have 3 remote reservation specialists, 1 remote reservation support tech, and our reservations coordinator is working full-time in the office. And then myself, I'm also working remotely full-time. The remaining 2 staff will gradually return to work over the next couple of weeks. Given the uncertainty of the next several months, having the phone lines operational allows for us to once again be that first point of contact for the public. Right now, they have way more questions than we have answers, but we're there to listen and provide any information that we may have. Now let's look a little closer at the reservations affected by COVID-19 from the last couple of months. At the time that this presentation was prepared, all reservations and programs were canceled through May 31st. Just this week, we were notified that June cancellations will also need to occur, so we'll be working through those next. We're also not taking any new reservations until further notice. As you know, Park District staff is working hard on developing reopening plans, but do not have set dates as to when more facilities will reopen and what that will actually look like when they do. Existing reservations in July and later remain for now. However, that is subject to change based on updated health department orders. The chart on slide 4 reflects the numbers up until May 10th. Since this was posted, we do have updated numbers up through May 17th, so I'll share those with you now. In total, we've canceled 3,849 reservations and program registrations, totaling a staggering $460,351.87. I'll continue to provide updates to our COVID-19 response as we move forward, as these numbers are surely to increase. COVID-19 has provided some unique and unexpected challenges, but besides that, the regular day-to-day work in reservations still continues. So what is it that we do? Well, our work encompasses a variety of reservations, including picnic, camping, indoor facilities, RIN program registration, swim group notifications, pool rentals. We're also the go-to for a variety of permits, special events, summer day camps and outdoor education programs, boot camp, drone use, scattering cremated remains, vehicle access, and interactive play equipment, beer and wine, metal detector, and Ohlone trail permits. We also screen and process campership applications, distribute Trails Challenge t-shirts and pins, respond to data analysis requests and provide information. And we've also been working, we also review ActiveNet software updates and provide troubleshooting for ActiveNet software. And we've also been working on the point of sale project since 2008. And we'll discuss this one in a little more detail on the next slide, slide number 8. This is one of the largest and longest projects. Is the point of sale systems in the park kiosks, visitor centers, and other key locations like the reservations department and aquatics. The biggest challenge in getting the point of sale system set up in all fee collection locations is that the connectivity and the infrastructure in the parks is lacking. And so that must be addressed first. The point of sale system allows for increased efficiency, greater accuracy, inventory management, reporting, simplified accounting, and just overall faster service. Currently, we have 26 locations with point of sale systems in place, and 5 are pending for this year. This breaks down to 100% of our existing visitor centers, 60% of our parking kiosks, 90% of our swim kiosks, 50% of our campgrounds, and 83% of our seasonal locations. As the infrastructure in the existing parks continues to get upgraded and the park district continues to expand, this project with our reservation support tech, or this project will continue with our reservation support tech being the point person for ActiveNet setup and training. Now it's time to look at some of the other numbers. And while we do so, remember, it's a small staff fielding all of these calls. Slide 10 looks at the call center over the last 2 years. In 2019, staff answered 38,700 calls with an average call length of 5 minutes and 18 seconds. April through July are our busiest months, and in those months, staff can answer 40 to 60 calls per day on average. And often they're talking on the phone 3 to 5 hours out of their 7.5-hour workday. And in between calls, they still have assigned desk work like permits and contracts and refunds that they're responsible for handling. Peak wait time can also occur in April, May, and June. Outside of those months, wait time is generally less than a minute. There are times when waits can average, say, 10 minutes or more, but those are typically on days when program registration opens and or reservations for group camping or indoor facilities for the following year open. Now we'll look a little at picnics. Picnic reservations are only made over the phone at this time. We have a total of 136 reservable picnic sites in 23 parks. On this chart, you'll notice a continued increase in the number of reservations since 2014. In 2019, we made a total of 4,508 picnic reservations, bringing in $732,098 in revenue. Parks with the highest picnic reservation volume continue to be Tilden, Roberts, and Temescal. They are generally fully booked on weekends, May through September. Roberts Park is also becoming one of the most popular outdoor wedding venues, And so we've been working closely with the park staff over the last couple of years to implement rules and procedures surrounding these particular wedding reservations. On slide 12, we'll take a closer look at camping. As you know, we do have 2 family campgrounds, Anthony Chabot with 75 reservable sites, Del Val with 150 reservable sites, including 5 cabins. We have 29 group sites in 11 parks, 24 backpacking sites in 6 parks, 6 equestrian sites in 2 parks. 2/3 of the family campground reservations are made online. However, all cabin, group, and backpacking reservations must be made over the phone. And any cancellation or change to any type of reservation must also be done over the phone. We are in the process of testing online cancellation and change for family camping and hope to roll that out by the fall. In 2019, we made a total of 14,315 reservations for a total revenue of $1,141,653. There is one thing missing from this slide, which is the cabins. So we'll talk about those a little bit more on the next slide, slide 13. Now, the 5 cabins are the newest addition to the Del Val campground. They offer guests some of the comforts of home, including mattresses to sleep on, electricity, and both heat and air conditioning. The popularity of the cabins has continued to increase since their debut in late 2017. And they are especially popular with first-time campers, young families, as well as the older population who prefer the comfort of a cabin to a tent. In 2019, we made a total of 257 reservations for a total of 495 nights reserved with a revenue of $52,246. We hope that the popularity of these cabins continues to increase and are planning for an advertising boost upon completion of the Del Val Water Project, as well as the Del Val Visitor Center remodel sometime in late fall. Next, we'll look at indoor facilities. The Brazilian Room continues to be the most popular venue, followed by the Temescal Beach House, the Shoreline Center, and Fern Cottage. Nearly all the facilities saw an increase in use over the previous year. Most notable is the Shoreline Center with a 60% increase in reservations, and Fern Cottage with a 25% increase in reservations over the previous year. These 2 facilities have become very popular venues for baby showers, birthday parties, business meetings, with a price point that fits every budget. In 2019, we made a total of 621 indoor facility reservations with a revenue of $778,268. In January of this year, we did start taking reservations for all of 2021. And with the COVID-related date changes that are happening now, 2021 dates are booking up quickly. We also worked closely with Sarah Lamborn, the rental facilities supervisor, to update and streamline the fees for the indoor facilities last year. And these updates were approved and have been implemented for the 2021 reservations. Now we'll look a little at special events. These special event permits are for events that extend beyond the normal scope of park use. This permit process helps to mitigate impact on park users, ensures protection of the park facilities, establishes safety and emergency plans, and compliance with Ordinance 38. The busiest months for special events are April, May, September, and October. And the parks with the highest volume of special events are the Contra Costa Trails, Coyote Hills, Quarry Lakes, Tilden, Shadow, and Del Val. This graph on slide 15 shows the number of contracts issued in the light green versus the number of event dates in the dark green. You can see on pretty much all the years, the numbers hover around 300 for the number of events, but the events are expanding in the actual days reserved. So we're essentially maxed out at the number of special events we can have without impacting public use and putting a strain on park staff. The average yearly attendance for special events is between 175 to 250,000. And then over the last 5 years, the average yearly revenue is between 100 to 150,000. So what's next? Well, we're working to get more of our reservation and registration processes online. Ideally, we'd like the option to make change and or cancel picnic reservations, program registrations, camping, and various permits to have online capabilities. The POS project will also continue, although slightly delayed due to our current situation. We're also looking at 2021 potential fee schedule updates for picnic and camping. And then we'll continue to respond to COVID-19 as best as we can. In conclusion, I hope that you enjoyed this presentation and walk away today having a better understanding of just how much this reservation department does. We may be a small group, but together we accomplish a lot. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question. Director Wieskamp.
Wow. Imagine taking all those reservations and then having to give it back again. What an experience. Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
I'm so glad that most of the people who had them were reasonable to deal with and understanding. I'm not sure everybody everywhere was going through that. Will we be filled in on the opening of campgrounds soon, or do we know that? I guess that's a Jim question, probably.
Dr. Wieskamp, that is the primary focus of the operations group working in concert with public safety, trying to figure out what that might look like with social distancing. So I wouldn't imagine that we'll be fully reoperated in parks until sometime in early to mid-July, because we're going to have to do some facility modifications. We'll have to update our reservations, and we'll also have to get some of our staff back and rehire the seasonal staff. So that's the best I'm looking at is early July to mid-July, and we'll spend the month of June getting everything ready to go.
And which parks are we next opening?
We're looking at after the 31st on June 1st to potentially open Point Isabel. But after that, I'll have to get back to you. Staff are still evaluating that.
Okay. I guess I'm wondering why Ardenwood stays closed.
I think it's just a matter of determining the social distancing protocols for that park.
I should do it there. Okay.
Yeah, because of the farm, you know, there's a lot of touch points and a
Yeah.
lot of crowding opportunities. So that's something we'll have to determine how to operate that park.
I understand the difficulties. Thanks.
Director Waspy.
Shannon, thank you for your great report. I'm always amazed at all the great work you guys do. And you had mentioned that in phone conversations and all the phone calls you guys take, you're the first point of contact. I'd like to also add that it's really great when you go up to Peralta Oaks that you guys are the first visual contact also, and you're all, Karen and your group are always smiling and happy. You're a great point of contact there also. My only comment is it's amazing the work you do. I guess a comment for Jim would be, wow, I'm amazed at 495 reservations for the cabins. I mean, I thought they were great, but I didn't think they would. Is that considered very successful? I mean, if you got 5 cabins, theoretically, if you round up, that's 100 nights that they're all occupied. So that would theoretically be, if you round it up a little more, every single weekend of the year, they're full. And I know that's not the way it works, but did we assume that it'd be that successful?
Well, one measure is important is potential nights that cabins are available throughout the year versus how many nights we've actually reserved. And I don't know, Shannon, do you have that percentage by any chance?
I don't, but I'd be happy to pull that together and provide that to you later.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
an occupancy rate, right? So
Yeah.
not 365 days, obviously, a year.
We would have an occupancy rate for the peak season, like April through October, and then we'd have an annual, occupancy rate. So we'll get that to you. We don't have that off the top of our head, but one thing I would tell you is that when you look at, when you talk with other agencies, these cabins are becoming more and more popular, especially for those of us that have reached a certain age. Sleeping on the ground isn't as much fun anymore. It's a great service to provide to families that want to try camping as a new activity, but are maybe a little concerned about sleeping on the ground or sleeping in tents. So it's really a great facility, and I'm hoping at some point, maybe in one of the board workshops, we can have a discussion about next steps for the convenience camping program. Let me know when you want to have that conversation.
Sure. Well, with these type of numbers, I know we're talking about doing it at Dumbarton Quarries, but Anthony Chabot Campground would be ripe, I think, and with these numbers, I think it would be just indicate more success.
And I don't think we've really even reached our peak. What I'm hoping is once we get things settled out again, as Shannon was indicating, get the Del Val water system done and get the visitor center project completed. We really haven't hit our peak in terms of marketing the program. So I think we've got more to come in the future.
All right. Thank you.
Great. And I just wanted to add, I just wanted to express my appreciation to Shannon and your staff. This is a tremendous amount of work, and your response to the refunds has been prompt and courteous, and then also getting on the phones. I think people are starved for human interaction, and I think that helps a lot. And it's the work you guys do is just incredible. Dennis and I can remember when Marge Blay was a one-person reservation person, and she wasn't she wasn't always the best, but it was just one person handling it, and here we are handling thousands and thousands of reservations. But I really want to thank you and all your staff. And I have a question regarding the cabins. With the standard of cleaning now, do we have to clean the mattresses in between each customer?
We haven't determined the protocols for the cabins. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge because it's an enclosed space. But yeah, I would say we're probably going to work on general camping first, and then we'll have to figure out the cabins after that.
Yeah,
that would be a challenge because the cleaning protocols will definitely be higher for those cabins.
yeah, great. And I think this was just an informational item. And yeah, thank you so much. And please thank your staff. Great work. And at some point, I'm sure we'll be getting back slowly but surely. But either way, we depend on your good works. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I'm really lucky to have such a supportive team. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out.
Great.
But thank you. Bye.
Excellent. And that brings us to item number 3, update on Camp Arroyo.
Just a couple of words while Tiffany is getting us set up for the slideshow. We were quite surprised last December when, prior to December, we were notified that the YMCA, who had been the longtime operator at Camp Arroyo, that they were no longer interested in operating the camp and were going to let their lease agreement expire with us. Luckily, we were then connected with Mike Cox Mike Carr from UCCR, and since that time we've created a great relationship, and UCCR has turned out to be a really great partner with us in managing Camp Arroyo. So when the COVID, the pandemic, the shelter in place order came out, we were very, very concerned about what was going to happen with our new partner and with the camp. And so we thought it was really important to give all of you an update on what's happening with Camp Arroyo. So I'll pass it off to Tiffany to tell you what's the story, what's going on with Camp Arroyo these days. Tiffany?
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, sorry, I'm muted and I'm unmuted. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Acting Business Services Manager Tiffany Margalisi with an update on Camp Arroyo. So it's good. I know most of you are familiar, but I do like to give a history and talk about the origins of Camp Arroyo, which have to do with deep partnerships. And so the partnerships is going to be a theme of this update today. And at the history of Camp Arroyo, it was a vision of East Bay Regional Park District and Elaine and Barry Taylor, and first opened in 2001. The facility is owned by the East Bay Regional Park District, and we are responsible for the maintenance. The Taylor Family Foundation typically provides the summer programming and selected weekend programming. And then United Camps, Conferences, and Retreats is the current operator. They provide the food service, hospitality, daily operations, and they also have a branch of their business called Wolf School, which provides the environmental education programs. So the current status of camp is very different from what you see here in the picture. Here we see a very full dining hall with a group. We won't be seeing that for a while. So they have had all groups cancel at Camp Arroyo through mid-August. And that began in early March. They started to see cancellations prior to the shelter in place as schools and the environmental education groups were being very cautious even ahead of the shelter in place. They started canceling. All of the groups, of course, now with the shelter in place have canceled. And the Taylor Family Foundation made a fairly early decision to cancel their entire summer camp program. And as many of you know, since they serve children who have illnesses, life-threatening illnesses, and sometimes fragile immune systems, they felt that given their audience, that it was best to go ahead and cancel the entire summer of programming. So we did get a personal call and notification that that was going to be their decision. So that means that camp is empty of groups through about mid-August. The UCCR staff, there are some residences there, and they're sheltering on site. That's their home. And there's maintaining a presence there. And also the East Bay Regional Park District staff, we have one park craft specialist and a ranger are continuing to work on maintenance and capital projects. So many of you may know the park craft specialist at Camp Arroyo, Steve Hathcox. I just wanted to take a minute to thank him. He's been at Camp Arroyo since 2005 with 25 years with the park district, and he'll be retiring in June. So we have a huge knowledge of camp, all the nooks and crannies and maintenance of camp. And we've been working very closely with Steve to download that information from him before he takes off. The UCR has been the operator since 2019. One thing that's a great asset in this partnership is they are very active in the American Camping Association. And they have been working to get the Camp ACA accredited. And they're also very in touch with the trend nationwide for residence camps as to the COVID-19 response. And so they are keeping us informed and very much engaged in how to reopen camps, what states may be reopening, and even what counties. They have a resident camp in Santa Cruz County that they have the all clear to open for day camps. So they've had to completely modify their programs for that camp, but they are able to utilize the facility and get kids in there. as we know, the regulations are different and restrictions are different county by county. So that's not yet possible in our county, but we're closely monitoring it. The Web of Life Wolf School is their environmental education branch. They are an outdoor education program for K through 12. They are going to be establishing an advisory group for the COVID-19 response comprised of educators so that they can be thinking ahead and creatively about how to adapt their outdoor school programming to our new reality. They are considering doing a combination of virtual and on-site programs, whereas maybe they might have groups come for a shorter time period and have that be supplemented with some virtual experiences. They're also looking at the cost model. What does that mean for them if they're having a shorter time period? Do they charge, and what should they charge for virtual programming? So they're looking at all of those options. They are anticipating that schools will be facing not only the challenge of social distancing, but severe financial challenges. And that that is going to create a double whammy of a negative impact for environmental education and experiences like this. So they're already thinking ahead as to will they need to offer additional scholarships? What would the source of those scholarships be? So they're really looking at the, both the short term to reopen camp, hopefully in the fall, what will spring look like, and then what might the next couple years look like. So I really applaud them for all of that. They're also thinking of restructuring the length and format of the camps. They also have a lot of camps that are really sad that they didn't get to come this spring and have their environmental ed trip. So that's another consideration for looking at next spring or even fall, is do they shorten the groups that are still on the books and then try to go back to those that got canceled this past spring and try to squeeze them in. So there's just a lot of challenges, but I think we have a great partner here who's looking ahead and has the expertise of doing this at multiple sites across the state and even across the country. I think it's going to help us to stay on top of things. In terms of financial support, the partnership extends also to financial support. So when we found out that the groups were canceling, UCCR understandably is really concerned about the financial hit, not just, in addition to not being able to serve their mission. And so we have several different layers of support that are really coming together. Number one, the Regional Parks Foundation supports UCCR through their annual budget for scholarships to help them bring kids to their camp. And what the Regional Parks Foundation has done is that they have reallocated some of the money designated for scholarships so that UCCR can use it as an unrestricted operational grant, so that during this time, UCCR can make some decisions to keep on their curriculum staff, keep on their reservation staff, and really be ready to go and reopen. We didn't want there to be like this collapse and then a long lag once we get the okay to reopen. So the Regional Parks Foundation has been a huge support. Secondly, Taylor Family Foundation, while they did cancel their entire summer season, they are paying the rental fee for the entire month of June as if they were there. So that's a huge value. It's over $100,000 that they're still paying for June camps that they won't have. We can't thank them enough. That's a really big benefit. In addition to paying what they would have paid on rental fee for June, they have also made an additional donation to UCCR to help with operations. And then regarding East Bay Regional Park District, we're coming in with a lot of support too. And first of all, we are looking creatively at how to share duties during this time. UCCR had to send some staff home, some staff needed to go be with their families. And so our park craft specialist and ranger at Camp Arroyo have been taking on some additional duties, helping out with the garden, just making sure that nothing slips through the cracks. So looking at the additional tasks our rangers are taking on, we're looking at about $16,000 or more just in-kind support, staff time. I also wanted to remind our board members that we do support Camp Arroyo with a significant amount in our annual budget, nearly $400,000 for Camp Arroyo to provide the maintenance, because that is our responsibility in the partnership. And we also had already in the works an exciting array of capital investments coming up for camp, which I'll talk a bit more about in the next slide. So from 2017 to 2021, we have an estimated of more than $1.4 million completed and planned investments in Camp Arroyo. And this is really exciting. We're going to be able to move some of these projects forward now that the shelter in place allows for construction. So I'll just go through them briefly and give an overview. We are replacing a yurt that was damaged in the 2017 storms. That should start in June. It's about an $80,000 project. We had pathways also damaged in the 2017 storm, looking to start in July. That's an almost $150,000 project to repair the pathways. And those are the pathways that come down the hill from the cabins towards the dining hall. We are doing an infirmary repair. There was unfortunately a minor fire from the dryer that caused a great deal of damage in the infirmary. That work will be restarting in July. We are redoing the amphitheater benches that had become quite deteriorated. That's going to start in June, about $27,000. And we are also replacing the director's resident here at the main entrance. That's what the picture is of. And that will start in July. That's about a $400,000 project. In addition to all of that, we are also doing a housing study and a site study to look at replacing what they call the bunkhouse, which is a shared staff housing further up the hill where the environmental ed staff and camp staff live. And we have a design consultant under contract that's looking at the feasibility of that, developing cost estimates, and the total build out of that with the housing and possible expansion of cabins, could be somewhere around $700,000. We've also done some minor projects, culvert repair and dumpster. So, I know that's a long list to go through, but I just really wanted to highlight the investment that we're making in this facility and just highlight that we are really going to be able to move some of these projects forward. Normally, we wouldn't have been able to do these projects in the summer. So we're trying to make the best of the situation of camp being empty to get some work done. So in terms of next steps, I think I gave a preview of some of the longer term thinking about what a camp will look like during COVID-19 or post-COVID. So we're thinking about reopening, what adjustments we need to make. And also later in this year, we'll be coming back to Board Operations Committee with a long-term operator agreement. As AGM O'Connor mentioned in his introduction, UCCR came on in 2019 as our operator on a short-term agreement that ends at the end of 2020. And so we are going to be coming back to the board. We're discussing with UCCR what terms they're proposing, and we'll be coming back to you with a recommendation on a longer-term agreement with UCCR later this year. And with that, I will pause and answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Questions from the board? Director Wieskamp.
It's so tragic to think of this not happening for the Taylor Foundation and for us, all those kids. But I think we should certainly thank the Taylor Foundation for stepping up in June. That's going to be helpful to the budget, I know. We're going to have to be very creative, I think, in coming up with techniques that will really help our students enjoy and learn a lot. Changing times, but I have faith that the staff can pull it together. And it sounds like we're very happy with the Wolf program education-wise. And so that's important. So it's not easy to see all this happening, but you're all on top of it. So thanks.
Director Waspy.
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany. A great report and great memories of working out there, trying to get that camp ready 20 years ago. I guess the only question I'd have, I hope we can meet the challenges and I hope we can be creative and think about that. Is lifeguard services, I know they last year provided lifeguard services for the Taylor family. I guess UCCR wouldn't use them in their programs, would they? Or did they?
Yeah, I can answer that, Director Waspy. So yes, the lifeguard services did provide the lifeguard service for the duration the pool was open. And I believe that included both Taylor camps and any UCCR groups. They got rave reviews. Both UCCR and the Taylors were so appreciative of the lifeguard service and had requested them to come back this year. Of course, now that's been canceled since there's no groups.
Well, thank you. I'm glad they were invited back. I think the degree of professionalism there is really a good thing for us, liability wise, and for the safety of the people out there. So, you know, I don't know that I can offer anything, but I know I think we're gonna be really challenged. I don't think schools, just even if everything went perfectly well as far as the virus, I don't know that schools are going to be able to afford that luxury of sending kids to camp anymore. But so I brought this up when we were talking about Contra Loma. I'm wondering if we could get creative with that beautiful swimming facility out there and possibly do swim lessons, host high school swim teams or something out there, sort of like we've done at Roberts. And well, just maybe we could get creative in that area.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that UCCR brings to the table, having operating so many camps for both public and private entities, is they are really look at filling the camp in every day and every minute possible. So they are really coming up with ideas too. If we get the all clear, UCCR is coming up with some draft ideas for a day camp, maybe that could be offered there. They've been reaching out to emergency services to see if there's a need for short-term emergency housing. UCCR has experience with that type of relationship at some of their other camps. So I think that's really something that they bring to the table as a partner, is they're really open to just maximizing use and revenue at the facility. So I will pass that along to them. And also I'll share one other thing about the FOG Studios, the consultant study. UCCR has really given us feedback. They think they could get more creative and fill the space more with additional breakout meeting space. They feel that's one thing that's kind of lacking in being able to bring conference type groups in. So the housing study and that the consultant's looking at is going to look at options for you know, smaller meeting type conference rooms. Could we do that in a yurt, or what would that look like? And so they're going to be bringing some options in that regard also.
That's intriguing. What is the capacity of the whole place if one wanted to have a conference there and spend the night?
I think Jim might know.
I think it's 144 beds, I think is the total.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
And what they're saying in terms of capacity is that the it's not like for an adult group or retreat type group, they want to have the breakout meeting room space. So maybe it's not so much that they need more beds for the adult groups, but they want the groups to be able to go, you know, do yoga over here and go into this yurt and have a little meditation, or whatever type of group they want to have more indoor spaces for small group type gatherings.
Director Waspy, you're right on the mark. One of the reasons that we were very excited about UCCR coming on board is that they they really are into fully utilizing an asset. And that was a challenge we were having with the Y, because their focus was primarily on children and environmental education programs, whereas UCCR is working with a lot of nonprofit camps. And so for every night that the camp is underutilized, that's a loss of revenue. So hopefully when we get through all this on the far side of this, we're really looking forward to letting them fully stretch their legs and get camp fully occupied for most of the year. So that's something to look forward to. And one of the reasons why we really wanted to work hard to keep them on board as a concessionaire, because we really think it's going to pay off in the long run for the district and for the conditions at camp.
All right.
Great. Wonderful report, Tiffany. And please relay our thank yous to the Taylor family. They have a very long history with us, and their generosity goes beyond anything anybody could expect, and their dedication to the services that they've been able to provide are just incredible. And I have fond memories, Director Waspy and I both have fond memories of when they used to host the burn kids there to swim camps there in the East Bay Regional Park Firefighters Association used to provide volunteer services to staff and lifeguard and provide transportation on those weekends. And they were incredibly heartwarming. And I was really looking forward to having UCCR have a full season, because I just from their presentation, I thought they were incredibly creative and enthusiastic, and I'm glad to see that they'll still be on board and they're hanging in there, and anything we can do to keep them on board, and hopefully we'll have something to look forward to as the pandemic continues or goes down, hopefully. But I think this is also an informational.
It is an information item, and I'll chime in one more thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge our rental facility supervisor, Sarah Lamborn. She supervises the park craft specialist and ranger out there. So thank you to Sarah also. She's based out of the Brazil Room office, but also has this big important role related to Camp Arroyo. So I wanted to say thanks to Sarah as well. And that's it from me.
And also an extended thank you to Steve Hathcox for his time and service. That's going to be a huge loss out there. But I think you'll have a good time out in Montana. Okay, directors, we are at almost 1:30. How is everybody? You want to take a short break, or do you want to push through?
Push through.
Push through. And is that okay? We'll push through. Okay. Item number 4, and we'll be reviewing the Mission Peak Pacific Bell AT&T communication site lease renewal.
And I just want to say this has nothing to do with parking at Stanford Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think Renee is it Renee or Tiffany? I think are going to join us for this. There's Tiffany.
There I am. Okay, thank you for waiting. My name is Renee Patterson. I work for Business Services. As you know, Tiffany is also here, so we could both answer questions as well as Jim O'Connor. Today, I'm coming to ask that you recommend to the full board an amendment to extend the communication license at Mission Peak for PacBell/AT&T. Just to familiarize you with the location of this, it's in the southern part of Mission Peak. The square right here is not our property. That's an in-holding that has somewhat of a big, huge campsite, or maybe numerous campsites. There's a lot of towers and such there. That is not our site. Our sites don't look like that. This is what our sites look like close up. In the top left-hand corner is Crown Castle. That's pretty much the biggest site there. And then on the left-hand side, or I mean on the right-hand side, is KICU, KTBU. And then down in the bottom left-hand corner right here is the district building. And this is the building in which the AT&T communication equipment is located. It's our building. We have two different leaseholders there, AT&T, and then KICU has equipment there as well. That's a close-up of the building. It is definitely not a big, huge tower site. The towers are all located right here. And it is mostly a microwave type of equipment that is located in this building. The building looks something like a bunker. So we wanted to recommend that we extend the Pac Bell AT&T communication license for one term ending with a special date, 12/31/2026, and that the fee begin at $3,060 per month and then increase 3% annually. We want a special date because that aligns the ending date of this agreement with the other renter of that building. And if you have any questions, we're all here and help you.
Great questions. Director Wieskamp?
I like the picture.
That's a great view.
That is a great view.
Uh-huh.
It
That's
seems-
from the Kaiser site, or what, it's the district building now.
It's nice to see you, Renee, even at a distance. You always know where all this equipment is and exactly how to find it. Sounds like a good deal. Why not?
Yeah.
Director Waspy?
Yeah, sounds great. My question would be, it's an extension. What do they pay now? I mean, is this
Hold on. I do have that. What do they pay now? They pay $2,829 per month.
okay? And I assume, I know you do, Renee. We do studies on are we at market? Are we giving them a deal, or are we getting the best, milking them like we should?
Yeah.
Pardon me.
I have tried to do market studies, but I'm not really sure why, but other public agencies don't really want to share the information. Or they'll give it to me in general terms. So they'll say, oh, we get about, or they'll say, what do you get? And then they say, oh yeah, we get about that. And I'm like, well, can you tell me exactly, what it is? Like, we base ours sort of on a rack rate. Do you have that? Some of them were willing to share all the information and even send me copies of agreements, and some were not. So I update that every year. I did update that this year.
Okay. Well, thank you.
And we're not like exactly even. It's a little bit all over the place.
Renee goes after money. I trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I don't think I have any questions. I think we have a recommendation, and I think a motion is in order.
Mm-hmm.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. All those in favor, Denise, could you mind taking a vote roll?
That's right.
Is she?
Or Director Waspy,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Rosario.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Hey.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to item number, let's see, number 5, update on recreation areas unit.
All right, good afternoon, committee members. I am Danny Stoneham, Recreation Areas Unit Manager. This afternoon, I will share some of the great projects that the Recreation Areas Unit have been doing over the past year. These are pre-COVID projects. So they've done some really great things in 2019, beginning of 2020. And, you know, the parks in the Recreation Areas Unit are by nature very high use, public intensive parks that have very little time for additional project work. Most of the off-season is spent preparing for and recovering from a very high-use summer-focused swim and picnic season. In spite of this, staff still ekes out time to accomplish some really great projects. Today, we're going to show off some of those projects. If I can just get my screen to work. There we go. Here are some park improvement projects that have recently been done. In the left picture, you'll find the picnic tables at the Diablo Vista picnic site in Roberts Recreation Area. Earlier this year, staff purchased new boards and decided to assemble the tables so that all of the hardware is underneath. This creates a flush and clean surface on the top of the table and bench boards. It also makes future maintenance way easier, as staff can plane and sand boards in place, reducing annual maintenance time significantly. In the picture on the right of your screen, you'll see the new picnic area in the Don Castro Swim Lagoon. The project was a result of staff noticing that the existing volleyball court area was not being utilized much by the public. After being granted funding through the budget request process, staff was able to reduce the size of the sand volleyball area and add 10 first come, first served picnic tables, adding to the prime picnicking real estate inside the swim complex. Another improvement that was made at the Don Castro Green Heron picnic area is the addition of another shade structure so that most of the picnic tables are now shaded throughout the heat of the day. The original structure was placed in a way that shaded tables through the hottest portion of the day, but that meant that the shade did not hit the tables until around 4:30 in the afternoon. And staff found that most of the groups who reserved the area chose to set up primarily on the lawn in front of the area due to the sun hitting the tables for most of the picnic. Excuse me. Now with the added shade structure, the public can enjoy the tables throughout the day. We'll now shift our focus to a rewarding project that was completed at the Tilden Little Farm. The Youth Employment Program, or YEP crew, began the first of several phases to replace the animal fencing around the Little Farm. The YEP crew is the youth work crew that is managed through the Recreation Areas Unit. It was initiated as a community outreach program as a way to engage the youth in our communities and expose them to the parks, not only for education and recreational purposes, but also for the future employment prospects. The district provides an alternative work program supervisor, currently Ross Mitchell, who is in charge of providing skill set training as well as interpretive and recreational programming to underserved youth residing in both Alameda and Contra Costa counties. The youth are employed through their respective county work development boards and referred to the district throughout the year. In addition to the carpentry fence building skills that you see here, the youth also spent a fair amount of time helping their stewardship department and learning about the importance of the environment. Here you see them assisting Doc Quack in the red-legged frog survey. The youth really enjoy getting into the projects and learning the importance of preserving our resources. Another long-term resource protection project that the YEP program manages is the demonstration garden at the Otis entrance of Crown Beach. Here you see the youth pulling weeds with members of the public on their monthly volunteer day for garden maintenance. Now we're going to head on over to Sobrani Ridge and look at the Palo Manzanita restoration work. that the Kennedy Grove crew completed last fall. Pallid manzanita is a federal and state listed species, so preservation has been a priority for the district. Under the direction of the district botanist, staff was able to remove vegetation around the pallid manzanita canopy, so there is now better light penetration. You can see in the before photo on the left of your screen that there is very little light penetration on the trail below versus the after photo where much more light is visible penetrating the canopy. Also at Kennedy Grove, staff started creating a butterfly garden in the area of turf that is between the parking area and the playground. This is part of the drought recovery projects that were initiated in 2016. This area had been turf and not serving any other purpose than an aesthetic value to the public. As you see in the photos, the project will include a rock pathway through the planting area with some educational information panels for the public to learn about pollinators and natural gardening. Now we'll move to Roberts Park. Staff has been blocking off bootleg trails to reduce the impact of mountain biking in the area of Roberts Recreation Area and Reinhardt Redwood Park. In the picture, you can see some of the challenges staff has been having with the closure of these bootleg trails. Staff initially put some slash on the trail and posted keep out signs. Shortly after, they noticed that someone had completely reopened the trails in less than a week. Staff since put up cameras in the area and have witnessed folks with tools and saws at night removing all of the material that staff had dropped in the area. Staff regrouped and started fencing off the area. This type of closure is shown to be effective, and they have not seen further vandalism of their efforts in the past few months. Another resource protection project that has been occurring at Roberts Recreation Area is the exclusionary fencing that is being placed strategically throughout the forest. This project started 4 years ago, and staff has already noticed a resurgence of growth within the forest floor as well as new growth on the trees. Prior to installation, trees were declining rapidly. The root areas were being compacted by the foot traffic around the base of the trees. Growing seasons would show very sparse areas of new foliage on the trees and the forest floor. Many park users do not notice that they're being directed through the forest strategically and appreciate the efforts being made to ensure the health of the redwood trees. Finally, we have some beautiful natural artwork to show off at Lake Temescal to highlight the creativity of staff. We were fortunate to acquire a park ranger that in a previous career was a master mason. 2 years ago, Park Ranger Pablo Madrigal approached his supervisor to see if he could expand the original rock work within the beach house gardens to create a terrace garden area adjacent to the beach house. What you see in front of you is the before, during, and after photos of that project. Pablo led the crew in this beautiful and rewarding project and taught them some of his trade. The drought took its toll on many of the redwood trees within the park as well. And when they were taken out during our chainsaw training felling class, Pablo turned them into very unique redwood benches dispersed throughout the park. The after photo, shows an example of one of those benches in front of the rock garden. When faced with an erosion challenge at North Temescal, staff continued their masonry training, constructing a rock retaining wall to help hold back the eroding hillside. Starting with the picture on the far left, you see Pablo doing an initial layout of the rocks. The pictures on the right show the beautifully finished project, complete with the new native plantings and rainbows when they're being watered. This concludes the presentation of some of the best projects that were accomplished throughout the Recreation Areas unit. I'm free to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Great, impressive. Questions, Director Wieskamp?
What an artist Pablo is. I mean, that is just gorgeous. Aren't we lucky to have him around there?
We are very lucky.
I mean, he sees opportunities and he does wonderful things for us. So wherever we can find him a project, let's let him keep going, huh? Terrific. Thank you for the presentation. You're right, you've got a lot accomplished. And what I guess would be the off season, even if this now is an off season too.
Right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Good projects.
Director Waspy?
Well, no questions, just compliments. It's Great work, and it's great to see that people in those parks that are always so darn busy and have nothing but litter and garbage and chasing after the public have the opportunity to get out and do some really creative, good work. And I'm happy that you're providing that opportunity for them, Danya.
You're
sure that-
welcome. Yeah, it does help out their workload having some of those great projects to do.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, I would echo that, Director Waspy's comments. Having the ability to do these projects really does break up the year and have something to really look forward to. I'm really impressed by the creativity of our park rangers and park staff, and just the how observant they are and how resilient they are to notice things and to adapt. And that's one things Dennis and I have been seeing on the and Jim O'Connor as well on the COVID task force. Our resiliency, our knowledge, our ability to adapt. I have a question on the green heron shade structure. Is that fabric or is that what's that shade structure?
Yeah, it's a fabric shade sail.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. It's very cool. And then also, I just love the youth employment program and just seeing their the great range of opportunities they have for different projects. It's fabulous. I hope we can get a couple park rangers out of that group.
Yes, definitely. We're on our way there. We've got a couple that are on the fuels crew, the new fuels crew. A couple are hired onto there, but we're still waiting to get a park ranger out of them.
Okay, we're working on it. Great, it's a good start. And please pass on my congratulations to Ross Mitchell. Great job as a supervisor on that crew. And then Pablo is amazing. The Park District has been blessed with a whole slew of rock masons. Chris Garrett, I can't remember. Dennis, do you remember the first guy in the Park District back in the 70s?
I thought you were going to say me.
No.
Gary Crawford.
Gary Crawford, Kenny Go. I mean, there's a whole slew, but he's in line with all those incredible rock masons. So, yes.
That bench looks very creative too. I look forward to seeing that bench. It looked interesting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
He's got
Thank you so much.
benches in the park, all in different forms. So you'll have to go check them out.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. I'll pass on all those kind words. Have a great day.
Hard work.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, let's see. Now we are at item number 6, San Ramon Railroad Depot Sign Cooperative Agreement.
Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, Director Rosario, Directors Waspy and Wieskamp. This is Ann Cassabaum, Chief of Interpretive and Recreation Services. And I'm going to be giving you a presentation and asking for a recommendation on the San Ramon Railroad Depot Sign Cooperative Agreement. A little bit of background. Early in 2019, the district was approached by the city of San Ramon requesting the loan of the depot sign that is a photograph here. It is currently housed in the large barn of the Burrell property. And if you look very closely, you can see the outline of the San Ramon words on the sign. The San Ramon Historic Foundation is willing to fund the project at a total cost of $12,556.80 for the restoration. A little bit of history. In late 1800, the San Ramon Valley branch of the Southern Pacific entered service and operated until 1927, at which time the station was dismantled. And the branch line of the railroad extended from San Ramon to Avon, which was 3 miles east of Martinez for 20 miles, where it connected to the Oakland-Stockton line. There were 4 stations along the route, and the stations were built using a standard 2-story design. There was one in Walnut Creek, one in Alamo, one in Danville, and one in San Ramon. And the line was used primarily for shipping farm products, transporting goods to and from central Contra Costa County, but also serving passengers as well. The Danville station is now the Railroad Museum. When that was built, it produced a lot of, or initiated a lot of development and housing and businesses and activities. The Alamo station was a small freight station, and the San Ramon station, where it was located about a mile from where businesses were. After the original station was dismantled in 1927, there was a shelter shed depot was constructed, and that's the photo in the upper left. And around 1940, the shed was purchased because it was on the property of the Armand Burrell family home in their property, and formerly retired, and it'll be 79 years since it's formally retired this coming Monday. Years later, Mr. Burrell attached the original San Ramon sign on the exterior of the shed. And then by the mid-1970s, the southern section of the branch was used for rail storage, and the line was abandoned in 78. And now most of it has been converted into the popular Iron Horse Trail. So the agreement with the city of San Ramon is that they will take possession of the sign and assume all liability for its condition. They agree to the restoration standards for district, what we would like to do, and we're recommending that they hire Kyle R. Bernard, who has a Master of Design Studies in Historic Preservation from Boston Architectural College. He actually has been out on the Burrell property. He met with now retired Cultural Services Coordinator Bev Ortiz late last summer. He saw the sign and has given his bid of the little more than $12,500. We want to ensure in the agreement that the sign will be displayed to district standards to ensure preservation. We will also be recognized as providing the loan or the item on loan. It'll be recognized either with a plaque or a sign that's located near where it's housed. And it will be a 10-year agreement with a possible 10-year renewal. But the city also understands that the district will request the sign be returned once Burrell is developed and open to the public. And then to ensure that we can keep track of this artifact, this will be the responsibility of the district's Cultural Services Coordinator to do an annual on-site inspection, make sure that it is still being displayed appropriately and to our standards, and then tracked through the district's tutorial software to ensure its location and oversight of the agreement. So that concludes my presentation and asking for a recommendation.
Great. Questions and comments, Director Wieskamp?
I feel like we're on American Pickers. I've been in that barn, so it had a lot of fascinating things, but I've got to admit, I don't remember seeing that sign. Does anybody else?
No.
Yeah, oh, look at him, he knew. Well, I think it sounds fine. They're going to pay for it. They're going to do it to our standards. You're a good negotiator, Ann. But no, why not put it out there for the community to see? And it'll be one more attraction coming back when Beverly's farm gets open.
Mhm.
No, I think it's great. I certainly would move forward with the agreement.
Okay. Director Waspy.
Yeah, my only comment would be it sounds great. It looks like you've negotiated a good contract with the folks. They're going to do it to our standards. They're going to pay for it. And I bet it's probably the first of many, many artifacts in that barn that probably people will lust for throughout the historical community.
Hey, in that barn, I learned there were Studebaker pickups. I never knew that.
Mm.
So I wanted
Yeah,
to-
too bad we couldn't talk him into restoring a car or two.
Yeah, that's definitely a TV episode, just that whole barn. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. We should probably think about that. My only question is the sign insured in case it's damaged or stolen or?
That will be part of the agreement that they insure the sign.
Okay,
Yes.
great. But yeah, I think it's a great project. Thank you. That's another creative use of historic things
Artifact.
that we've got. So I'm going to assume that was a motion from Director Wieskamp. Do I have a second?
Second.
And then, so we have a motion and a second, and I will ask our executive or our secretary, Denise Valentine, to do a roll call vote.
Okay, Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Waspy,
Aye.
Director Rosario.
Aye. Thank you. It's unanimous.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. And then we are at public comments.
Okay, Chair Rosario, we do have 3 comments that were submitted from the public, not related to items on the agenda.
Okay.
So the first one comes from Elaine Maddow of Castro Valley, and she writes, Dear Chairman Rosario and members of the Board Operations Committee, something needs to happen at Lake Chabot to encourage bikers and runners to socially distance and wear masks. Many not wearing masks are running or biking within a few feet of walkers, breathing hard and spewing particles in the air shared by all. I have alerted the district to this problem a few times, but nothing has changed in the past few weeks. If anything, the situation has become even more crowded. We need someone, a park employee, at the entrance to monitor what is going on. Maybe have visitors who are runners and bikers not wearing masks use the left side trail. Until something is put into practice to protect people who are conscientious about wearing masks on the crowded trail, my walking group, which has enjoyed regular walking at Lake Chabot for many years, has now decided it's too dangerous to walk there. Please let me know what the thinking of East Bay Regional Park District officials is in regards to this problem. Our second comes from Janet Deal of Kensington, California, and she writes, Dear board members, please open Lake Anza to swimmers. If you aren't able to resume normal operations, please consider allowing people to swim in the early morning without lifeguards. As you know, swimmers are usually allowed to enter the lake in the early mornings if they leave before 9 a.m. We don't spread our towels and lie down, we just swim and go. This is such an important part of many people's lives, and it seems that it can be done in the manner that many governments are reopening their beaches, swimming only, no spreading of towels and hanging out in the sun. Actually, I'd love it if you'd allow that as well, but I'll take what I can get. Thank you for your efforts to keep Tilden and other parks as open as possible during this pandemic. Please continue to provide relief to park users by opening Lake Anza. And our last comment comes from Zachary Spriggs of Livermore. Hello, I appreciate the opportunity for the public to submit comments. I would like to start off by saying thank you for doing all you can during these strange times. This comment today is in regards to boating and fishing. As an avid fisherman and EBPRD regular, these times are very tough, as we all know. Being a Livermore resident and Del Valle regular, I just simply would like to ask that we can launch boats sometime soon at Lake Del Valle. I know the other day, GM Robert Doyle did say they were working on a plan to reopen Del Valle. Does this include boat inspection and launch, or just full reopening of the trails parking lots? Thank you again for your time. And that concludes public comments submitted for this meeting.
Great. Thank you for those comments. I think all 3 of those comments are something we are looking forward to address. I know I think every park has instances of people not doing social distancing, especially bikers, and something we need to talk about more. I think with the advent of the Regional Parks Foundation making masks, maybe we could have somebody handing out masks at park entrances, possibly. Some thought. And then
Sorry, the only good news we're getting, I mean, when we interface with public health, is that the risk factor for the short-term interactions between people is very low, especially in outdoor environments. So that's something we take into consideration when we've looked at opening parks and keeping parks open. So that's a very low risk factor for those short-term interactions along a trail.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we can.
Mask idea may be something we'll think about.
Yeah. And then I'm not sure about open swimming in Lake Anza. I'm going to leave those comments for staff to consider. And I think as the governor relaxes rules here and there, as hopefully if our cases and hospitality rates continue to go down, then I'm sure we'll be able to open more things. So we just ask the public to be patient. And during this pandemic, we're all itching to do other things. And but please, as a reminder to the public to please be considerate, be kind, and keep your social distancing as best you can. And if you can, please wear a mask. So with that, public board comments. Seeing none?
And mind your manners, right?
Yes. Director Waspy? Anything?
Just the same thing. Please wear a mask. I'm amazed every morning that when I walk at Lake Chabot that folks are still not doing that. It's just a common courtesy and very easy to do.
Yeah. And a big shout out to all of our staff out there in the field, park rangers, police officers. Thank you for all your work. Stay safe, and thank you. All right, with that, we are adjourned.
Efficiently done.